We often think the idea that consciousness might shape reality is modern, tied to quantum physics, idealist philosophy, or even spiritual mysticism. But over 2,400 years ago, a pre-Socratic philosopher named Anaxagoras proposed something astonishing, that nous, the Greek word for mind or intellect, is the organizing principle behind the cosmos. Not gods, not blind chance, but intelligent order. For Anaxagoras, mind wasn't just a human trait. It was the cosmic architect that brought form to the swirling chaos of the early universe. Today, this may sound like panpsychism, process philosophy, or even quantum consciousness, but in ancient Greece it was revolutionary. In this video, we'll explore who Anaxagoras was, what he meant by nous, how his ideas shaped the Western mind, and why his vision might hold a key to reconciling science, spirituality, and consciousness today. Born around 500 BCE in Clazomenae, a city in what is now Turkey, Anaxagoras lived in an age when myth was giving way to reason. He was part of the Ionian tradition, thinkers like Thales and Heraclitus, who dared to ask, what is the universe made of? What governs its behavior? But Anaxagoras went further. He wasn't satisfied with saying fire, water, or atoms were the root of all. He wanted to know why things moved the way they did. What intelligence, if any, guided the cosmos? He later moved to Athens, where he became the first philosopher to teach there, influencing none other than Pericles and Socrates. He taught that the moon reflects sunlight, that the stars are burning rocks, that eclipses are natural, not divine omens. But what set him apart was his answer to this question. What gives order to all this? His answer was simple, stunning, and centuries ahead of its time. Nous. In Anaxagoras's view, the universe began in a state of chaos, everything mixed with everything. A primordial soup of infinite ingredients. But then, nous entered, and that changed everything. Nous, usually translated as mind or intellect, was not just another substance. It was the force of differentiation, the principle that introduced order, separation, structure. Nous began to spin the cosmos, initiating a vortex motion that sorted out the chaos into the stars, planets, elements, and forms we see today. But here's the key. Nous is pure, self-ruling, and unmixed. It doesn't arise from matter. It acts upon matter. In a way, Anaxagoras was the first to claim that consciousness precedes material structure. That mind is not an emergent property, but an original power, a cosmic editor, a non-material principle capable of shaping and animating the material world. This is astonishingly similar to what many spiritual and quantum thinkers argue today, that reality is shaped by observation, attention, or intelligence. One of Anaxagoras's most intriguing metaphors is that of the vortex, a swirling motion initiated by nous that began the ordering of reality. This wasn't just poetic. For him, motion is essential to manifestation. The primordial mix of all things remained inert until mind introduced rotation, a spiraling action that caused particles to separate, aggregate, and form discernible things. This idea is stunning when viewed through modern physics. In quantum field theory, particles arise from vibrations in underlying fields. In cosmology, the early universe was a chaotic quantum foam, and through inflation and symmetry breaking, form began to emerge. Even in Eastern traditions like Tantra and Hindu cosmology, creation begins with spanda, the divine throb, the first pulse of awareness. Could Anaxagoras have intuited something profound? That motion, activated by mind, is the bridge between potentiality and manifestation. His vortex is not just a physical spiral, it's a symbol of how consciousness gives shape to being. What sets Anaxagoras apart from other early thinkers is that he didn't reduce the world to mere mechanisms. Where others sought causes in terms of material interactions, fire burning wood, water flowing downhill, Anaxagoras asked, what makes it all meaningful? For him, nous was not only the cause of motion, but the reason for order. It is what allows the eye to see, the mind to understand, the stars to hold their course. In other words, nous gives the universe not just structure but significance. Compare this to the modern tension between materialism and idealism. Most of science treats the universe as a machine, dead, aimless, automatic. But if mind is primary, then value, awareness, and even purpose might be intrinsic to the cosmos. This doesn't mean Anaxagoras believed in a personal god. He didn't anthropomorphize Nous. It was not an emotional deity, it was intelligent principle, the same principle that allows math to describe reality or DNA to encode life. Mind for him is not an afterthought, it's the beginning. Though his writings survive only in fragments, Anaxagoras's ideas reverberated through the centuries. Plato admired the idea of Nous, though he felt Anaxagoras didn't go far enough in applying it to ethics and soul. Plotinus, the great Neoplatonist, saw Nous as the second emanation after the One, the divine intellect that contemplates pure forms. In this lineage, Nous became a bridge between the ineffable and the manifest. Fast forward to modern thinkers like Erwin Schrödinger, who wrote that consciousness is never experienced in the plural. Or Max Planck, who said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental." Or John Wheeler, who proposed the participatory universe, where reality is incomplete until observed. These are not direct descendants of Anaxagoras, but his idea that mind is cosmic, not confined, continues to whisper through philosophy and physics alike. He is, in many ways, the forgotten grandfather of consciousness metaphysics. Here's the most personal part. If Nous organizes the universe, what organizes you? Anaxagoras didn't believe Nous was only out there. He believed that human beings carry a portion of Nous within them, a spark of that ordering principle. This aligns with what mystics and sages across cultures have said, that the macrocosm is mirrored in the microcosm, that your ability to perceive, discern, create, reflect is a sign that you are the universe becoming aware of itself. In this view, consciousness is not trapped in the skull. It is a channel through which the deeper intelligence of reality moves. You are not merely in the cosmos is in you, the same mind that gave form to galaxies. Maybe whispering through your intuitions, your insights, your dreams. The philosopher's task, then, is not just to reason, but to listen. Because the order you seek may be thinking through you. Anaxagoras's vision may seem ancient, even primitive, but in many ways, it anticipates the next frontier of thought. As we grapple with the mysteries of consciousness, quantum reality, and the limits of materialism, his question remains haunting. What if mind came first? What if the order in nature is not just mathematical, but meaningful? What if consciousness is not confined to humans, but a cosmic principle, shaping stars and synapses alike? Anaxagoras reminds us that before the Big Bang, before physics, before theology, someone dared to say all things were together. Then mind came and set them in order. And maybe, just maybe, that mind is not gone. Maybe it's still moving, in nature, in thought, in you. If this video stirred something in you, comment, subscribe, and share it, because the ancient light of Nous still shines, and together we can help it remember itself.